Welcome to Fireside Jets. My name is Alex, and my co-host here, Ryan Moran. And today we're looking at Jets rookie pass rusher Jermaine Johnson and what he's going to bring to this team in his first year in the NFL. Now, Jermaine Johnson, really interesting prospect. He's about to turn 24 years old, a little bit older for a rookie, but nonetheless, he's physically imposing, has unbelievable bend for a guy of his size, and he's going to make an impact on this defense immediately opposite Carl Lawson with John Franklin Myers and Quinnen Williams. They have Huff as well. There's a lot of good talent on this defensive line for the Jets, trying to find reps for all of them. That's the more difficult problem, difficult challenge for this coaching staff, but we do have some ideas on how Jermaine Johnson's going to make an impact in year one. Before we dive into Jermaine and what he offers, Ryan, how you doing today, my friend?
All is good, Alex. And, Jermaine Johnson was thrilling for Jet fans, to see the team go up and get late in the first round. You acquire Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson, and then you kind of put the icing on top of the cake. You make the move up for Jermaine like Joe Douglas did, and similar to the way they traded up for Elijah Vera Tucker a year ago. And that was just a thrilling move. He was someone that was really getting targeted to the Jets for a while. If it wasn't going to be Kayvon Thibodeau, Aiden Hutchinson, any of those guys at the top, JJ was really that next guy for Jets fans. And, to be able to go and get a guy who was as productive as he was last year, real breakout in 2021 with 11 and a half sacks, 17 and a half tackles for loss. And what really, I think, jumps out even more than just the production around, rushing the pass or stopping the run, it's the 70 total tackles. On a poor team, this was a guy who played up to a first-round billing, and the effort was consistently there all year. And that's something that the Jets are getting in him as much as anything. You talk about a guy with a ton of size, 6'4", 34-inch arm length. So this guy's got the height and the length on the edge to really hold his own against the run, which is obviously something we're going to touch up on today. And, he's a guy with a ton of athletic ability and speed, 1.59, 10-yard split time, and 4.58, 40-yard dash. Goes to show you just how fast he really is moving in a straight line. And, it's pretty exciting. I think, you look at his background a little bit, obviously, was at Georgia, for 2 years. And in 2020, he had 5 sacks in 7 games. So it goes to show you he always had the talent all along, the fact that he was at Georgia. But you just look at the talent. I mean, that defense obviously last year was something special. And, he was buried behind Azeez Ojulari, Trayvon Walker, Adam Anderson before his legal incident, and a guy next year who's going to be in the first round, conversation, and Nolan Smith. So it obviously the move made an ideal sense for him just to get more of an opportunity. He produced. Filled out the stat sheet in a big way at Florida State last year, and hoping over time he brings that to the Jets here.
And I imagine he will, right? Jermaine Johnson is a really intriguing player. He was a guy I scouted a lot for the Giants. But, looking at him, I was very surprised the Jets managed to get him at the bottom of the first round. I mean, they did a good job plugging multiple levels of talent where they actually needed a little bit of help, right? Carl Lawson coming off the torn ACL, Sauce Gardner filling, a big role in the secondary, then Garrett Wilson contributing towards this wide receiver core. That's 3 first-round picks that are going to make an impact on day one, which they are supposed to, but they're filling big holes too. And Jermaine Johnson's is not going to be left out of that conversation, right? So looking at his numbers from last year, he put together 14 sacks, 9 tackles for a loss, up tremendously from 2020. He played in 736 total snaps, 415 pass rush, and 313 run defense snaps. So he was on the field for both run and pass. Obviously, he did a really good job in both. He's really strong in his lower half. Great bend for a guy of his size, 6'5", 260 pounds. He's a full grown man, right? He's almost 24 years old. Physically, he's not going to get any bigger than this, right? That's the big conversation to have is why did he drop to the bottom of the first round? Probably because teams know he's a little bit older for a rookie, and his upside isn't as high as maybe, some of the other guys that were drafted earlier on. So, the Trayvon Walkers of the world, obviously, it's tough to compare Jermaine Johnson to some of these guys because he is a little bit older and he is, a transfer. He was given that green light at Florida State to just go off. He was given full kind of the ability to just take over that defense and make it his own instead of at Georgia trying to split reps or, work his way in, or, just there's so much competition like you mentioned before. But immediately right off the bat, what is Jermaine Johnson really good at? He is a good pass rusher. He's a little bit raw in some areas, but he's a tremendous run stopper, right? He's a good run stopper. That is where the Jets are going to want him to be featuring the most. They have Carl Lawson, Quinnen Williams, John Franklin Myers, some really, really good pass rushers already on this team. You need a guy that's going to be able to seal the edge immediately as a rookie. Jermaine Johnson, that's always the big problem. Looking at Azeez Ojulari, a guy that the Giants drafted last year. he was a good pass rusher, but he couldn't seal the edge very well in the run game. So they were kind of tortured on that side of the line for some of the year. He's gotten a little bit bigger, 10 pounds of muscle mass. It takes a year to kind of get your body right for the NFL level. But Jermaine Johnson already has the frame. That's what I'm, kind of the point I'm trying to make is he's a little bit older. He has the frame. He can seal the edge immediately. And that's the bonus of having a guy like that. Now we just have to wait for him to develop his pass rush moves. So Ryan, I'll ask you this. Do you think that he's day one starting, or do you think that Huff may be starting and Jermaine Johnson kind of working in on more early downs?
It's a great question. I think first and second down against the run, JJ is definitely going to get a ton of reps. I think he is the best, pure run defender out of the Jets edge group right now. And you look at a lot of those guys, the build of Carl Lawson, Jacob Martin, Bryce Huff. I mean, they're really, faster, built lower to the ground, speed rushers. And Jermaine is really the one guy who you look at and say, has the arm length, has the height, plays with the physicality, and, can really set the edge and keep containing against the run, make his impact felt there. Pass rushing downs, third down, 2-minute situations, end of games. I think he will be involved. I just feel like there's such a deep rotation that they built, with Carl, Jacob Martin, Bryce Huff, throw Michael Clemens and Vinny Curry into the mix. Like they're going to have to find ways to keep all these guys fresh and get them all involved. So first and second down, obvious running situations, I think Jermaine will really be a mainstay out there. And, in pass rushing situations, there's a lot of guys, but I still expect Jermaine to, have a significant impact, get his opportunities. And I think the main thing you want to see is just timely sacks, pressures, quarterback hits. You want to see, a couple of just impact plays on third downs and, late in games from him. He's got that ability, like you said, the speed, the athletic ability. I think, once he develops those pass rush moves, because he showed them in college, like he's got a variety of moves. He's got good hand technique. It's just rep to rep being consistent with it and knowing how he's going to have his plan coordinated and, how he's going to go about beating a tackle every snap. And that can be refined. That can be coached up. He proved it at Florida State that, when he's got a coordinated plan, like he can win, with a variety of hand techniques, bends. So I think the upside is still even there as a pass rusher when he, coordinates that hand technique consistently rep to rep.
Right, and that's his biggest con as a pass rusher is his hands can sometimes lag behind the rest of his body. And if he can't win with his hands, he sometimes, gets stuck on those offensive tackles a little bit too long. And of course, living in New York City, guys, if you haven't realized, is just constant sounds and noises and sirens. And I don't know, they may be going to pick up Kadarius Toney from getting injured again. Who knows? But it's honestly, it's terrible. But it's not going to stop him from talking about Jermaine Johnson. And taking a look at some of his numbers from the combine, some standout metrics, and he actually has a couple of really big ones, right? So he's above average in terms of height at 6'5", 78th percentile above average in arm length with 34 inches, 92nd percentile on the 40-yard dash with a 4.58. The guy is fast as hell. Holy crap. And his broad jump, 10 feet, 5 inches, 91st percentile. In terms of his 3-cone and 20-yard shuttle, he did not participate in those. He's not the strongest guy in the world, 21 bench press reps, but, functional strength versus bench press strength, it's a little bit different at times, depending on the context you're using it. Vertical jump, 32 inches. I mean, unless he's leaping across the line of scrimmage to a quarterback, sometimes, it's not that the most relevant, metric. But I will say above average in 40-yard dash, broad jump, arm length. Those are the three main things I'm looking for in pass rushers. I would have liked to see his numbers in the 20-yard shuttle and 3-cone. But given we don't have those, we'll just kind of look past them for now. But the bend is really what I like about him the most, right? He's a guy that you'll watch him, and for a 6'5", 240-pound human being to get that low around the edge, and you'll see throughout this video, I'm going to toss some clips in there so you'll see how good he is. There's one clip against Ikem Ekwonu, NC State guard, went top 10. He put a spin move on Ikem Ekwonu that left him like absolutely in awe. Like Ikem Ekwonu does a full 360 spin. Jermaine Johnson puts him through the spin cycle, and it was just a beautiful, gorgeous move. And it shows you that he does have some of those, advanced moves as a part of his repertoire. The problem is he needs to use them more, frequently, and also has to have a better plan when he's actually going against better offensive tackles. Against NFL talent, they're going to read him like a book. He's going to have to be better with his hands, setting up things for later. That's what makes good pass rushers good, or good pass rushers great, is that everything they're doing the first 3 quarters is setting themselves up for later to dominate in the fourth quarter. they're just showing a certain thing, and then fourth quarter comes around when it matters, and bam, they turn it on and they whip out the whole arsenal. And that's kind of what I hope Jermaine Johnson can accomplish at the NFL level, because he has the skill set to do it. He just needs a little bit more refinement. And like you said, he's raw as a pass rusher. Physically, he's already imposing. The thing now is just adding more to his pass rush repertoire and getting more refined in that category. And I love what he had to say about the mindset coming into the NFL. It's actually pretty awesome. So I'll read you the quote. He said, "My mindset is violence. There's no pretty boy work in the trenches. It's fun to sack the quarterback, but first and second down are primarily runs. So you have to earn the right to rush the passer. You have to be violent." I'm sure that Robert Saleh loved to hear that. He went on to say, "I talked to Carl Lawson, and told him how excited I am to get to work, and he's available. It speaks to who he is. Now everyone speaks about him. That's all I need to know. What people say about you when you're not around is what's important, and I'm blessed and excited to learn under a guy like that. I'm blessed to be in a room like that with these players and these coaches." So Saleh, that's exactly where he wants to be, in terms of good coaching and also having tremendous talent around him to help him, iron out his weaknesses. His last quote said, "Elite rush, get off fast, have a plan, and supreme confidence. You're not going to win every rep, but you're going to have to keep going and keep going. I go to every football field believing I'm the best player on the field. You have that elite plan and confidence." So I'll tell you what, it doesn't seem like he lacks any confidence, Ryan. Is that something that you've gotten an impression of early on, since he's joined the Jets?
For sure. I think the confidence is definitely there. You alluded to just the character, the work ethic. He's a great person. And like I said earlier, the 70 total tackles on a bad team last year when he had already played himself into the first round. You look at the effort that he consistently played with, like, to me, that's definitely very evident, and to really just kind of touch up on the draft again, like, I think his fall had a lot to do with, the fact that he was a very scheme specific type of player. The Jets run that wide nine front where he's just going to be able to attack right up the field. Obviously, you talked about the get off, and that's what Saleh and Ulbricht's defensive scheme is predicated on. Just allow him in the front four to penetrate right up the field. And I think a lot of teams who don't run that type of system, probably didn't value him as much, and that's why he fell to the Jets as far as he did. And they said he was their 8th ranked player. So that probably gives you an idea on why that's the case. The toughness, I think, is a really big thing with him that stands out, obviously in his run defense. And, when he gets that pass rush plan, more developed, I think the sky is the limit with him, and the athleticism, the size, the speed. And finally, him and Carl Lawson together can make this thing a lot of fun. I mean, the Jets post John Abraham have really struggled at edge. I mean, they've had some, good players, Calvin Pace, Jordan Jenkins over the years, but I think these two guys as pass rushers, you look at the speed that they both have, and they kind of complement each other in terms of size. Obviously, Carl is built lower to the ground, real true speed guy, as a pass rusher. Jermaine's a little bigger, plays the run. So, hopefully these two guys can, they're younger players. Carl, I think 27, Jermaine 23. So, hopefully these guys can develop together and be a great edge tandem for years to come.
Yeah, he kind of gives me Jalen Phillip vibes. The Miami Dolphins draft pick from last year. Pretty good run blocker, run stopper, and had some raw attributes of this pass rush, but had a pretty good sequence. It just needed to kind of refine it. Phillips ended up having a dominant rookie season: 8.5 sacks, 42 tackles, 16 QB hits, and 9 tackles for a loss. If Jermaine Johnson can come in and do something like that, you're talking about an unbelievable player. Now Phillips is 2 years younger, so there is that to consider. But I really like Jermaine Johnson going into the draft process. He was a guy I thought the Giants would be targeting in a trade back scenario because of that age. But he's a productive player. He killed it last year for Florida State, and hopefully he can translate that to the NFL level with the Jets. Of course, good coaching, good teammates. It seems like he's in a perfect position to really extrapolate on his strengths moving forward. But I'm excited, man. This is a really good player for you guys. I think that as a run stopper, he can make an impact immediately. A lot of upside as a pass rusher, and hopefully can build upon those skills and learn from Carl Lawson a little bit. But I think he has a bright future ahead, especially if they give him the right opportunities at the right moments and build his confidence up. But I'm excited about this guy, guys. Hope you enjoyed this Fireside Jets episode. Make sure to drop a like and subscription below, and what your thoughts on Jermaine Johnson. If you think he's going to be a big impact player, or you think he's going to be fighting his way onto the defense, I guess. Robert Saleh clearly has some great things to say about him. Jermaine Johnson himself seems to be extremely confident, so I think that he will make an impact in one way or another as a rookie. But this is going to be a fun defense to watch. They've pieced together a pretty solid uni here out of some essential pieces. The Jets seem to be flying high, pun intended. So I'm excited for this team. We got some mini camp stuff on the way. A lot more football left before the regular season starts, and we'll get you guys covered with all the information you could possibly need. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll catch you guys on the next episode.